So the education today is Fanatical Prospecting, and the subtitle is Getting Clear on Who You're Targeting. So there's, in the book, he talks about these 4 objectives of prospecting. So set an appointment, gather information and qualify, close a sale, and build familiarity. Setting an appointment, we have to remember that prospecting is a contact sport. So lots of salespeople stumble from unqualified prospects to unqualified prospects. It goes on and on and on. And then they wonder why, at the end of the day, they could be effective, but they're inefficient because they keep going after the wrong audience. And why is it that they're not making any sales? This is why it's so important to have an objective, so a clear objective for every prospecting touch. Why am I calling who I'm calling? We need to understand that. Prospecting is really not for building relationships, selling, or chatting with the buyer. It is for setting the appointment, qualifying, building familiarity, and when it makes sense, you could potentially move into the sales process right on the spot. But it's only an appointment. Okay, so when you're setting an appointment with a potential prospect, either directly or indirectly, that means someone that you could be your direct borrower or somebody that could be a feeder for that. It's not an appointment unless you have a firm commitment for a specific meeting time and you have confirmed it the day before. That is what's considered setting an appointment. You had a clear date, a clear time, and you confirmed it the day before. That would be considered an appointment. Your job on the phone call, really, if you think about it, is to introduce, saying hello, introducing who you are, who you work for, and then tell them the reason you're calling. Why is it that you're calling? You don't need to be fuzzy or drag it on. Just be specific about what it is that you're doing calling them. I'm calling to meet with you so that we can help provide some proactive ways to help you get your deals closed, right? Very specific, it's direct, it's succinct. Why the appointment? Why even bother? We talked about that today in our leadership training, is because when you physically meet somebody, there is the sense of trust. Physically meeting them face to face, there's something that happens that's very different than a text, very different than an email, very different than a phone call. It just furthers the trust, furthers the relationship, and it shows a level of commitment from that individual that they would actually meet with you. So you're starting to deepen and go deeper in the relationship. So again, we want to set an appointment as part of the prospecting is our goal. The second thing is to gather information and qualify. So think about baseball for a minute. When you get up to the plate, professional baseball players, you don't see them swing at every ball that comes. And even, so this is interesting, even the people that are the best of the best, and they don't swing at every ball. I'll just tell you right now, the best percentage historically in baseball of batting average is Ty Cobb. And his batting average was 36.6%. So just do the math, right? If he would have swung at everything, then his percentages would have been tremendously lower. But because he was willing to wait, gather information, and not swing at everything, he still was able to have a really good batting average. But even then, his averages were still 36%. And the same goes in the sales side of the coin. So everyday salespeople waste time, energy, emotion, swinging at ugly deals that don't make sense, clients that don't make sense. When I used to have individuals come in and they'd say, I've got this, $20 million loan. and we'd dive into it, ask some questions, and I'd say, I want you to take 20 million and multiply it by 0. And that's your commission. Because you're wasting time. We don't need to go through these things. Some of the things that we look for when you're trying to qualify are things like urgency. Is this person in a situation where he or she is urgent? Do they have to get this done? Dan and I talked about this the other day. Does the client have to get this done? Or is it a nice to? Are they motivated and moving? Did they move it to the top of their priority list? Loyalty. Is this person going to give us a viable shot at doing the deal? Have you discussed about our fee to make sure that this person will be okay with how we get compensated? And then is the deal itself viable? So we're just spending time really trying to qualify, gather enough information to see if this person and the deal makes sense for us to proceed. And savvy sales professionals are super disciplined in qualifying prospects. They have a methodology and they understand time is money, and it's a waste of time to work with prospects that are just not going to buy. The third one is to define a strike zone. If you don't know where you're going, how will you get there? So you must be clear on who your target audience is. We look for direct clients as what we call D1s, right? Our direct clients that are active, they're doing things on a regular basis. There's H3s, which are high integrity, high connector, high givers, that are high referral sources. D2s are probably small business owners that are in the process of buying a building, but they're not going to do it maybe at all after that. And then ambassadors. For us, direct clients, D1s, they're going to make somewhere between $300 to $3 million. They're highly active in the investment or development space. They tend to be fair-minded in their dealings. They tend to be probably more on the conservative spectrum. They are charitable and have hobbies like golf, flying, travel, and the like. And they value consulting and respect our process. D2s, again, are probably just business owners. They're fair-minded, respectful to our process, in the urgent zone of buying, and are financially qualified to the market. And these deals are typically about $1 million or higher. And then ambassadors are people like attorneys, existing clients, commercial realtors, CPAs, bankers, consultants, contractors, and they're open to a reciprocal referral relationship. And they have direct access to D1s and D2s. These are fair-minded individuals that value in the giving. So we've got to define the strike zone. What are we going after? Because if you don't, then you'll just take everything that comes in the door. And then finally, close the sale. This is simply just asking to get the agreement, which could look like the following: asking for the opportunity to do business with them and receiving response to that in the affirmative. Give something to them and ask for the opportunity to set up a referral relationship, get commitment, and then take them through our qualifying questions. So just closing the sale in our world really is asking, being clear with what it is that we're trying to do. Building familiarity. There's some statistics he goes through in the book. He says 3 to 10 touches to engage a prospect who is in a high degree of familiarity with you or the brand, but is not in the buying window. 20 to 50 touches to engage a cold prospect who does not know you or your brand. So again, think about how much you have to be in front of somebody before they build trust. Could be call after call after call after call. And we've talked about this idea of proximity, duration, and intensity. You need to be in front of somebody. You and I just look at certain brands and we just have trust. Even though we don't really think we have trust, you just go, yeah, that's a trusted brand. I know Starbucks, right? You drive down the street and you've just seen it so many times. It's so consistent in your mind that you just trust the brand because it's just everywhere, right? McDonald's, even though it's going to kill you within about 2 weeks after eating it, you trust the brand, right? It's been around for a long time. So, this is part of building familiarity, is just the repetition of physically being there through emails, social media, events, phone calls, materials, etc. So I'll stop there for a minute. If anybody has any comments about some of the things we just talked about that they'd like to add, or questions for clarity.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about familiarity. It's almost like you see those billboards every time you drive on the highway. And then when you think you're never going to need that, you never know what happens, and something happens where you're like, oh, I need an accident attorney. Who am I going to call? Learner in a row, So there's just a lot of different opportunities where things do pop up, and it's when you least expect them to. And I've called on people so many times that I'll go to an event in person and they actually know me without actually knowing me, which is always so interesting. And I found that really interesting.
That's great. Yeah, just the repetition of being visible is a big one. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think part of it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
If you're,
Yeah.
even like the calls obviously important, but some of the minor stuff, the send an email, social media stuff. Even as little as clicking a like on somebody's LinkedIn article that they wrote,
Yeah.
or leaving a comment can build that familiarity.
Yeah, just seeing somebody is a big deal. Okay, so we're going to talk about the prospecting pyramid. The quote is, "The only difference between a mob and a trained army is organization." That's by Calvin Coolidge. And salespeople who struggle with prospecting view their prospect database as a square. In other words, they really treat every prospect exactly the same. And we're going to talk about the process of not doing that today. So the bottom of the pyramid is what I call the cold stranger. So thousands of prospects, they probably know very little about you, and obviously you know very little about them other than the company name, perhaps some contact information, might be a cold call or meeting somebody cold at a networking function. So the goal here is to gather information and to correct and confirm any data, fill in the missing pieces, and begin the qualifying process. We have to listen well and be excellent at asking questions. Direct is finding out their background, if it's a direct borrower, and their activity level, and if you even have a shot. That's what you're trying to understand. And then for indirect potential prospects, are they connected to your direct clients? And do they have a giving mentality? We've talked about that before. So this is really the bottom of the pyramid. It's cold. You don't really know much about them. They don't know much about you. You're trying to become familiar with them and gather enough information to decide, should we go to the next step? I added this one. I call it the first date, right? Level 2. So there's a solid contact information, email addresses, and there may be even notes about them. But the goal is to identify the buying window and if there is really potential for commitment. That's the key here. This is where you'll be asking for something, right? With the direct, you're asking if you really have a shot at winning the business. Once you've talked to them once or twice, you're really in the point of saying, hey, look, can we really have an opportunity to work with you? And for the indirect, you might be asking if they're open to referrals and then giving them some referrals as well. So this is that sort of first testing point to say, okay, is this something that has some teeth? Is there a potential relationship here that we can foster and invest in and move them through the chain? Level 3 is the ball is tossed. So this is, again, somebody's in the buying window. You have information on them. And here you've been given a potential opportunity. If it's direct, if it's indirect, you have been referred somebody. And now it's time to prove you can be proactive and responsive. to deliver results. These are what if scenarios that they are using to test you. And then the question is, how do we respond? Are you just going to bite on anything that gets thrown out to you, or are you focused on what really your target is? So it's time to get really clear real fast and be responsive and determine whether you want to run with it or not. But you're getting further along that they chose to toss you the ball. And so this is really, you're getting deeper. It looks like it's getting warmer. They're trusting you, and you're starting to make some traction with somebody. Level 4 is what we call the Conquest Prospects. This is a highly targeted list of the best or the largest opportunity in your territory. So there might be 10, 25, 50, or even 100. And you need to nurture them regularly and monitor trigger events and build familiarity. Again, these are D1s that you connect really well with. They're fair in their dealings. They respect you in your process, and they're very active in doing deals. H3 would be a high giver of you of referrals. They're high integrity and high connectors in the community. Your job is to have them on a high touch process that might be every 2 weeks or even a month, and find ways to add as much value as possible by giving them what they most need and want. So you're getting closer to the top. And then at the top is the urgency zone. So these are highly qualified prospects who are moving into the buying window, and there's an immediate need. There's a contract expiration or a trigger event that they're ready to go. So these are the highest priority prospects and should be first on your daily prospecting list. They're deals that have come inbound or meet the urgency requirement, 1031 exchanges, people under contract, people that have a major deadline, deals that are significantly higher in the interest rate, people that need cash now. So as you can see, it's really important for you to be discerning and have a process, which we have, in order for you to delineate who it is that you're going to spend more time with and who you're going to spend less time with through this process. So I'll stop there for a minute if anybody has any clarifying questions or anything that I can shore up.
Yeah, I thought I'd add as well, at least my experience already is that going from cold stranger, that it could bounce steps as well. I remember I gave a cold call and didn't answer. Then I got a call back and say, hey, we've got a deal that needs to be get done right away. So they kind of skipped steps and as well. So I thought I'd add that also. The pyramid goes up as well. And at least for me, I've seen that it's bounced around in the process as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Phil. Yeah, these can move back and forth. They're not exactly linear. And, you have to also remember some people will take more time to trust and some people will take less. So they can move quicker up this than others. And the beauty of those is just helps you qualify faster. Some people are a little bit less overt about things. So great point. Any other comments or questions? Good. Okay, we'll just go back to law of familiarity and what he says is familiarity lubricates prospecting because it makes the prospect's decision to give you their time feel less risky. Okay, so that comes back to the trust factor. Crossing the familiarity threshold requires a significant investment. Now here's the key: of time, intellect, emotion, energy, and technology. This is why you must create a conquest list and develop strategic prospecting plans so you focus your time and attention on building familiarity with your most valuable prospects. So again, it takes time. Some of the people I've been doing this for 18 years, it's taken years to get to the point where we're doing the deals we're doing. And then it takes emotion and energy and understanding them and spending more time with them. And it's an investment. So it's not a cost, but it's an investment. What you're trying to do is to figure out where are the best investments, right? Where we don't have unlimited resources. So you have to be really careful about your time. When you do identify, then you invest. right? You start pouring into it, knowing that there's an ROI. There's a return for that. So he goes through the 5 levels of familiarity. So persistent and consistent prospecting, referrals and introductions, networking, company and brand familiarity, and personal branding. So persistent and consistent prospecting, this is all about habits and doing the same thing over and over, which results in a compounding effect. So the more you prospect, the more familiar you become to your prospect base. It's a daily discipline. Doing touches every day keeps the creditors away, right? One of my close friends' dads was the founder of Sun Detergent. And he actually sold it for, I think he's close to $1 billion to Kirkland. And I remember we were out just hanging out on his boat one time, and I was trying to pick his brain, and he said, David, this is really simple. He said, I just had to perfect the product. And then he said, then I just had to market the crap out of it, right? He goes, you just have to over and over and over and over again, just to be everywhere, visible, so that people know where to find it. And so this is just persistent and consistent prospecting. You just have to be out there over and over again. And there is just no way around that. So that's really just the effectiveness of doing the same thing every single day. Referrals and introductions. Customer referrals come from happy clients that trust you. So you develop a disciplined approach to asking for referrals. You be a giver and then ask for them as well. It's not selfish to ask, as it gives someone else the opportunity to serve you, as well as you serving them. Educate your friends and acquaintances on what you do. And then just at the end of the day, give a legendary customer experience and then ask. So that's the first thing, is just do a great job and then ask, because people have a good experience with you. Networking, go to events, shake hands where your target clients are. Do not take marketing material. I have seen so many people go to networking things and they're cheesy. They're kind of the weird guy that does these goofy things to help people remind them. And they just remember weird, right? So no one cares about your marketing material, or they just want you to learn about them. So do that, create connections with people, follow up with handwritten notes, use the power of the pen is the best way to do it. Company and brand familiarity. So again, this is posting blogs, trade shows, leveraging social media, white papers, podcasts, ebooks, and this stuff takes more time. But as you develop more of a niche, you can hone your craft and then hit the gas in the area. I've received lots of leads because I've written a ton of articles, and it's paid off. It takes more time, but creates credibility when you post, when you get published. And it can be a longer term thing that pays off. And then finally, personal branding. Make an investment of being visible and having something unique that you do. Be specific out there so people start to remember you for something really specific. You can even speak in public regularly. I know Tom would like to do that all the time if he had the chance. And then just update your profile on LinkedIn. This is Fanatical Prospecting, and that is all. Any questions that anybody